Welcome everybody to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. It is me, Sal, Mr. Boxing Guru. Thank you guys for joining me one more time. That music that you guys just heard, that great intro, yeah, that's from Los Anaya. Make sure you guys subscribe. That's LOSANAYA. That's Los Anaya on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever good music is heard. Pandora even. They have a lot of good old school feel music, so make sure you guys listen to these guys. Guys, there's so much to talk about, man. I'm excited. You know, every time that there's a big fight and then there's controversy and then there's a big winner or a big loser, I don't care who I picked. I'm just glad, even if I'm wrong, I don't care. The fact of the matter is that we didn't get the ending maybe that I wanted, but we got something. We got some drama behind it. We got some excitement. It, you know, keeps the like my compa Nacho says, keeps the blood flowing. Again, so much fights to talk about. Again, like I said, Canelo. We got Ryan Garcia, stomping on this kid. We got girl fights. I mean, we got upcoming fights. I mean, like the boxing media is saying right now, it is fight season. Whether it's the Zone, whether it's ESPN, ESPN Plus, HBO and whatnot. I mean, the HBO. I mean, sorry, Showtime or whatnot. It is fight season for the rest of the year. So Christmas is coming a bit early for those boxing fans. But let's get started with the main event. And from the MGM Grand, and let me correct myself right now, because last week on the podcast I said from the T-Mobile Arena. So I said from the T-Mobile Arena because I made that assumption. Again, you should never make assumptions. But I make that assumption that the fight was going to be from the T-Mobile Arena. Why? Because that's just what happens in big fights now. We got so used to it for the last 2-3 years that whenever there is a big fight, it is at the T-Mobile Arena if it is in Vegas. But no, I guess they had UFC. Again, I had no idea that it was on the East Coast or whatnot. Again, I just don't pay attention. I don't give two fucks about UFC, so I'm not going to pay attention. But again, it happened. The fight was at the MGM Grand, but again, let's get back to topic. Canelo stops Kovalev in the 11th round. Fight went pretty much as most of us thought it would go, where Kovalev kind of pawed and jabbed his way out of problems for the most part. I think Kovalev was in command most of the fight because he didn't let Canelo do what Canelo does. So, of course, the 11th round when he finally got caught. And it wasn't a grueling fight. It wasn't a fight where you could say, oh, you know what, this guy's taking a lot of punishment. Maybe we should stop it or anything that said Kovalev is being worked or he got beat up so bad that at that point where he got punched in the 11th round, he couldn't take the shot. I saw, and both of them were pretty clean from the face. If anything, Canelo had a bit, more scuffs in his face because he was getting jabbed all night because he was a smaller guy. He was that guy that was trying to get in. But again, it wasn't a tough, a great fight to watch. But again, like anybody with an eraser, Canelo got the job done. Made the judges' scorecards irrelevant. He actually got his knockout, and what a fucking knockout! That thing was it was beautiful. I mean, anytime you put a guy, look, man, I know we're all supposed to be sensitive because all the deaths that are going on, but at the end of the day, let's calm the fuck down because we all love knockouts. We all love seeing a guy go to sleep. That's why we watch the sport. We don't watch the sport to see glorified sparring session, which is what we got for 10 rounds, arguably. We want to see somebody get knocked the fuck out. And I think that's just the way we are. And again, the knockout was beautiful, but leading up to the knockout, I didn't see much from both guys. I saw a guy trying to implement his game plan. I saw a guy when he started seeing the counters coming at him, and as quickly as they were coming from Canelo, almost shy away from the fight and started, maybe pawing a bit, just touching Canelo. But I didn't see a guy overcommit to his jab because, again, every time that Kovalev committed to his jab, he got slapped with that right hand right away. Or he got touched to the body. But that's essentially what happened in the fight. At the time of the knockout, again, I was surprised as anyone else. I thought it was a beautiful knockout. I again, this is why we watch boxing. And again, it erased everything else, the rest of the boring fight. But let's talk about this for a bit, because what did we learn from this fight? And I like to dwell on what did we learn from the fight. One thing that becomes very evident to me, and I mean it always has, is that teams matter. Canelo obviously has a great team behind him. They've been able to move him I don't want to say the right way. I want to see the most beneficial way for them. I've said it before that I didn't think Canelo was going to be able to stop this guy, because look what he did with Cotto. Look what he did with Jacobs. Look what he did with Chavez Jr. Look what he did anytime he faced somebody either his size or even or a high caliber fighter. He didn't do much, and that's because I never really respected Canelo's power. I never really thought that Canelo had enough to hurt the higher class fighters. I figured he could hurt a Fielding, not a Kovalev. And fuck, was I wrong? Well, getting back to my point is that teams matter. The way that Canelo's been moved, again, as he's been moved to become a star. He hasn't necessarily beaten the best guys out there, but he's beaten the best possible names. And I think for the casual fan and for the fan in general, they've done a magnificent job with him. When it comes to that, I know that to us, the hardcore boxing fan, that's not what we want to see. What we want to see is a guy clean out his division the way they did it back in the days. They clean out a division, they jump to the next one. They clean out another one division, they jump to the next one. And that's how these guys became multiple weight class champions. That's not what Canelo's team is doing. They're not waiting and trying to play by the rules, or more than anything, they're bending the rules to the best of their ability. That way they create, they manipulate history. They're not cleaning out 160 pounds. Yes, a lot of people might call Golovkin the boogeyman, but there's so much work to do at 160 pounds. Let's be honest. I mean, one of the Charlo bro, whatever his name is, that's the guy. That's one of the guys to beat at 160 pounds. Can Canelo beat him? Absolutely. Why not? Why not? Canelo can beat a guy like that. Again, another go with Golovkin. Why not? Get good fight. That guy that Golovkin just fought with, Deverenchenko, why not? These are tough fights for Canelo. But it's easier to go and beat an aging Golovkin, something that we now know he is. An aging Golovkin. Golovkin, I'm so sorry. A Kovalev. An aging Kovalev. A Kovalev that now we know he's aging. Again, a guy that now that everything is done, you gotta sit back and appreciate the job that these guys fucking did. They grabbed the guy that, yes, he ended up fighting his mandatory. He won a fucking war 8 weeks ago with his mandatory. A guy that supposedly never sparred, and by guy I'm talking about Yard and Kovalev. And Kovalev almost gets stopped. It gets to the point where Buddy McGirt says, you know what, if you don't fucking, show me something, I am going to stop this fucking fight. And he goes and stops a very exhausted Yard. But the fact of the matter is that I think the folks at Canelo team, whether it's Golden, whoever the matchmaker was, I mean, I don't know. They saw something that said, you know what? This fucking little guy in Canelo, this fucking little pit bull could go up and wait. And again, let's manipulate history and say that he cleared the division and he became the champion at 175 pounds. So what they did, they went ahead and picked the weakest link. And again, the weakest link being Kovalev, the damaged dog being Kovalev, the guy that everybody knows has been chinny, but the guy that I thought had fight left in him to fight a smaller guy like Canelo, guy that started at 140 pounds. I thought a career 175 pounder could deal with Canelo. Maybe not beat him, but deal with Canelo. He did for the most part, but the knockout was just so beautiful. Now, and again, back to my original point, teams matter, strategy matters. How do you rewrite history without going through the battles? There's so many fighters that or weight divisions now that Canelo has on hold that it's mind-boggling. So let's look at them, because I think it's only fair. As a matter of fact, let me go to ESPN right quick. So at 175, where Canelo just fought, I think the guy, the man at that weight is Beterbiev. Big monster guy, big heavy hands. Could be the Golovkin of 160 pounds. Beterbiev, he just came back from beating Canelo. That is the man to beat at that weight class. You got Dimitri Bivol, which is arguably a small 175 pounder. That could easily be a 168 pounder. Again, smart, quick. Again, top guy. Alexander Gvodik, whatever his name is now. Tough fighter. Again, that's still guys that if we're talking about doing the right thing, that these are guys that a guy like Canelo should fight. I mean, he's a champion. Now, how do you tweak things a bit? Maybe fight, like I said, a guy like Bivol, a smaller guy. A guy, that's only 17 fights in. Undefeated guy, a pretty record. Why not? But why do that when you could, again, almost defend your title versus the weaker part of the division? Why not? In my opinion, if they're going to make a title defense, they're going to go versus one of the weakest links, which is, again, on paper, it's a great fight. And that's versus Zurdo Gilberto Ramirez. Why not? Undefeated guy, 40 fights, 40-0, and the pride of Sinaloa right now. The best fighter that Sinaloa has, and we know Sinaloa is huge for boxing. Why not? He's going and he continues to fight at 140. That is a guy to beat. As a guy that's moving up in weight, a guy that's coming up from 168. Or why not pick on the winner of Badou Jack and Jean Pascal? I think one of them has a belt or something, right? At least I think he does. I think Jean Pascal actually has a belt. So why not do that again? Or let's take a look at 168 pounds. Since we're already here, a fight to make. Again, the main guy is Callum Smith. Caleb Plant is a monster. All wrong for us. It can't be a guy for Canelo. David Navides, ni se diga. David Navides, I think, is the biggest fight you can make right now for Canelo. The kid's a monster. The kid's huge. The kid could probably balloon up to God knows what on fight night. Would Canelo fight that? I think that's probably the best possible fight at 168 pounds. Nah. Wouldn't fight that. Why? There's nothing for him at 168 pounds. Now at 160, like I said, it gets even better. You got Jermell Charlo. You got Demetrius Andrade. I get it. Deverenchenko. These are the guys that I think can give Canelo the better run for their money. These are the guys in that same weight division that he could do good with. But again, you skip weight class not to do great, but to rewrite history and to make it look like great. And again, nothing against Canelo. I think he's an excellent fighter. But I think a lot of folks get upset when people get mad or people don't consider him one of the greats in Mexican history, but because they know that, you can't compare him to a Morales, you can't compare him to a Barrera, you can't compare him to a Chavez, and to a certain extent, you can't compare him to a Salvador Sanchez. These are guys that fought monsters. Salvador Sanchez is a very young guy, and you cannot compare a Canelo to those guys. That's what you're trying to do. You're going to write it in history, and maybe later on people will believe that. But again, you cannot compare him to a Chavez. You cannot compare him to a, again, on paper, yes, it's going to look that way. And you're going to say Canelo, beat this guy, beat that guy, beat all these guys. But the fact of the matter is that there was other guys that he didn't fight. There's other guys he hasn't fought. So, is he a pound for pounder? Absolutely. Is he the number one fighter? I don't know. I don't think so. I still have, I think my number one pound for pound, just because of the activity, just because, the weight classes he's jumped and the fighters he's been able to fight, I think it's still Vasily Lomachenko. And of course, Vasily only, and again, that to me, that's the number one guy. And then you got Crawford, but unfortunately, Crawford suffers from the crisis of the lack of welterweights in his class. And then Canelo, sure, why not? But then Canelo, you got Usyk. That's a beast that cleaned up at 100 and the cruiserweight division, 199. You got guys like that again that legitimately cleared the division, regardless of who was there. Cleared the division, and are now jumping to heavyweight. Again, hasn't done the best in heavyweight, but again, you guys get my point. So is Canelo pound for pounder? Yes. Is he the number one? In my opinion, no. And that's not knocking Canelo because being in the top three, again, you could argue any possible direction doesn't mean it's a bad thing to be, top three in the world. Again, that's top three in the whole world. That's a pretty good problem to have. Now, again, like I said, Canelo has a lot of unfinished business at 168. 175, I personally don't think he should touch any of the big monsters there if their name isn't Zurdo Ramirez. And David Benavidez fight is a fight that really, really intrigues me because the way Canelo's now that we see he's able to deal with these bigger guys, I would absolutely love it. But yeah, that's it for that. Again, kudos to Canelo. Shit, he proved so many people wrong. Of course, the odd makers are always right. They had the right guy up, and man, what a weekend. But let's clear this up. No, there's no fishy shit there. There's nobody taking dives. There's nobody. There's no self-respecting fighter that's done this for arguably 30 years. In this case, like Kovalev, is gonna take a dive for any fucking body. I think there's too much pride in taking a dive at the highest level of the sport, and to even consider or to think that a guy like Kovalev would take a dive for fucking $15 million is disrespecting him, disrespecting his family, disrespecting his legacy. I think you guys are full of shit if you guys really think that. Now, speaking of dives, let's talk about the co-main event. The co-main event, well, actually, no, let's not. Let's talk about all this shit that people are saying that UFC is that much greater than boxing because boxing had to put their biggest star on hold. Because there was a fucking UFC fight of two fucking guys rolling in the fucking ground and people wanted to see that shit. If I wasn't a fucking UFC fan, I'm definitely not a UFC fan now. Why did my night, and shit, I'm saying night or almost morning for my folks in the East Coast, why was I bothered by having to wait by one fucking guy that looks like a fucking kangaroo, has arms long enough where he could scratch his knees, and we're talking about the guy from Fresno. Why did I have to wait for that guy to fight versus another guy that I mean, because they're gangsters? I saw these dudes fucking with their backs on the ground most of the time. Started bleeding at the flinch of a fist. Again, and that's just me being ignorant because I don't know anything about UFC. But to me, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. It's not appealing to me. I don't want to see it. And I think it's so disrespectful for whoever did that. I get it. There were some sort of financial gains because now people are, getting the zone because now they're going to watch the fight. And when there was a lot of financial gains to it. But as a fan, put yourself in my shoes. Big, bosses that the zone. Why did I care to wait? the fight party I was with, we had to make unnecessary conversations, a lot of awkward moments. All why? Because we had 90 minutes to kill. Again, glad I was with good folks, but nonetheless, I'm sure that happened to a lot of folks where now you're sitting here just like you're sleepy as shit. You don't want to drink that much anymore because you want to wait for the main event because you want to be somewhat sober to watch the main event, watch Canelo. And on top of that, once that fucking shit show where the guys were rolling on the ground, they ended up stopping it early because of a cut. Or not early because shit, it still went for like 3 rounds. But now we have to wait for all the national anthems. And don't get me wrong, I love national anthems. But since we're waiting, why not, Mexicanos, El Grito, they get all that stuff, throw them in there while we're waiting for Canelo or we're waiting for the UFC fight to finish. But never, ever, 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 ever stop a boxing match because you want to wait for a UFC fight. That's a disrespect to the sport. It's a disrespect to your subscribers. And to even put boxing in a point where we're having to wait for these two hillbillies to roll around on the ground is a disrespect to boxing. Really hope it never happens again. Anyways, let's talk about the co-main event. The co-main event was Ryan Garcia versus Duno. Duno the diver. That's what a lot of people are saying. They're making memes and whatnot. Poor kid, man. Duno, for those who don't know, Duno got knocked out in the first round very quickly in the first round. He couldn't deal with Ryan's speed. I'm not necessarily sure what was the game plan. There was a lot of us that were rooting for Duno. I thought he was going to be a sturdy enough test for Ryan Garcia. But Duno just proved that I get it, his defense is bad, but didn't anybody show him the Carlos Morales fight? How to deal with pressure? Not just, have brute force? I mean, what happened there? And don't get me wrong, I'm very happy for Ryan Garcia. I think that's all most of us want. Most of us want, we want to see superstars, but at the same time, we want to see these superstars fight fighters, not just, get, what we call costales or what we call, cab drivers, or I think I heard Montero call them pizza boys. And somehow be developed that way. We don't want to see it. We want to see you progress. We want to see you grow. We want to see you do good. But we also want to see good fights. Again, we're not, and that's where a lot of people, including Ryan's dad, they don't understand. It's not that we're haters. It's that we want to see him fight. And if we don't see him fight and we're just seeing him, gloat around after beating this guy with 47 losses, then that's a fucking problem. That's when fucking fighters get hurt. And that's not fucking good. Now, what happened with Duno, he beat this guy. Now, Ryan deserves my respect. Like you guys said, and this is funny, just a quick side note, Ryan's dad, I had made a comment, I had posted something about Ryan when he didn't fight Duno in September. A lot of fans were calling him out and saying that, what a bitch, and Ryan's this, Ryan that. And again, I know Ryan's not scared, but he was having some financial issues with Golden MMA, and I'm sure, Ryan's dad needed a couple of new hats and whatnot, so he needed that extra money, and I get it. He went through it, he badmouthed the company, including his dad, and they got the money that they wanted. Good for them. Anytime somebody's making money, good for them. But Ryan's dad made it the point to come in my Instagram page and comment on that 2-month-old post and say that everybody's a fucking hater, that everybody's a fucking loser. And I thought it was pretty comical because the fact that these fucking trolls, including myself, are living in this man's head for so long, again, it's pretty funny. And again, I have some choice words to say about him. But again, nonetheless, I like Ryan's dad. I think it's special when somebody's protect his son. I think that's cool. But the fact that he responds to all these trolls is fucking hilarious. But back to the fight. Back to Ryan. Because what's next for Ryan Garcia? Look, man, 135 is freaking stacked, man. It's one of the great divisions. You got I mean, you got all these guys like, I mean, Jesus, everybody. It seems like everybody's at 135 pounds. Although you got again, you got all the upcoming talent at 135 pounds that it's kind of hard to move either way. I mean, God, the top guy there is Vasily Lomachenko. Then you got guys that could arguably still fight there. Mikey Garcia, you got Richie Comey, you got Pedraza, you got Teofimo Lopez, you got Luke Campbell, you got David Haney. David Haney is arguably the number one guy up there next to Loma. So there's a lot of fights that at 135, and I would hate for Ryan to be put next to, or even the top, the bottom half of that, of the top 10 guys in there. It's not a good choice. What they can do, they can do the big bro effect. Go the Canelo route and not necessarily go for the top guys in that division, but you can go for the top guys in the division below that. That's traditionally what happens. I mean, what can you? Well, who can you go from there? I mean, you got guys, and there's guys that you could do in house. Like for example, Machado. Machado's a guy that's moving from 130 to 135. Great opportunity for Ryan. And yes, Machado's a strong kid, but Ryan seems like he's bursting at the seams. And why not? You got who else do they have? You got Lamont Roach. He's in a tough fight this weekend. He's probably a fight that he's not going to win versus Jamil Herring. So why not move him up again? In-house name for him. Why not make it happen? Again, you got names like that. But Linares does not. It's a great name. Don't get me wrong, but Linares is a fucking corpse. Let's be honest. Anytime, one thing that we can't take away from Ryan is his speed and his power. Kid can crack. It could be everything. Everything else could be wrong with him, but the kid is fucking fast and the kid is fucking strong. He fights Linares and he's gonna starch him in 1 or 2 rounds. Again, but that's the big bro way. You catch a name, you grab a name, a la Mosley, and you take care of him that way. Again, the sky's the limit for Ryan. You got to move him right. You got to move him well. But I would love him to keep fighting the good fighters. Again, I don't want him to be put in a position where he's going to get knocked out. No, I want to see him in a position where he's going to fight decent names. That way, he can develop into a great fighter, because that's what Goldberg wants. And I want to continue to be able to troll him and his dad, because shit, man, whenever Henry comes in my account, I just think it's fucking hilarious. And the fact that he kept that post for two months, it's even more awesome. The girl fights kicked ass this weekend. Marlene versus Iniesta Estrada. These girls win a war. That was a blood. You see, last week I said these girls have a responsibility to all these girls coming up and to boxing to do great. This fight lived up to the expectations. I personally would have loved the fight to have been stopped when that nasty gash happened. I believe it was in the 4th round or whatnot. Because I personally thought that Marlene was ahead in the scorecards. I thought Marlene was beating Iniesta to the punch. She was catching her wide open, and every time she moved out of the way, it didn't. She ended with a beautiful combination from top to bottom, and I thought Marlene was a superior fighter. But again, she's a girl that hasn't been a pro for that long. She's a girl that stepped away to be a mother, and she's a girl that really had an extensive amateur career, and again, she's a girl that now for the first time sees blood, and it wasn't just blood, it was just a fucking mess. That was one of the most nastiest cuts I've seen in a very long time, and to let the fight continue, it threw the girl off guard, and I think it would have thrown everybody off guard. The blood was a ridiculous amount. I mean, the cut man couldn't stop. A great cut man. I can't remember the cut man's name, but it's a great cut man. but the amount of blood she was losing was ridiculous, and the headbutts that came about after were ridiculous. Um, in my opinion, there was no reason. I would have been happy if they would have just stopped the fight. Even if, like they said, Marlene was losing on the cards, we could, you could argue about it, saying, that a lot of the fans had Marlene winning or whatnot, even if they would have gave the fight to Siniesa, but they would have fought another day. To have Siniesa continue and just look beaten, because she really looked beaten after like the 6th, 7th round. It looks like Estrada was taking the best of her. But yeah, that happened. I just wish the fight would have been stopped early. You would have saved not only the cut from being as bad as it was, but now it was. I think it got twice as big when it was all said and done. So good for girls, good for women boxing. I guess Estrada won the fight, but I think if it wasn't for Marlene, this wouldn't have been as great as it was. I mean, the fact that she didn't quit, the fact that she didn't stop the fight right away. Again, it's all big. I would have wished it would have stopped sooner, but it was a great fight for women boxing. And again, I think it's gonna do wonders for girl fighting. Now you're like, okay, I don't mind these two girls going at it. They're gonna go. If these girls, now you're gonna say, if these girls are gonna get down like Sinesa and Marlene, shit, why not throw them in a big card, undercard, or make them a main event? Fuck it, why not? Let's enjoy these girls as they come along. But one fight this weekend that I thought was a solid fight, but no one paid attention to, was fight in Carson, California, friend of Dignity, Dignity Health Center. That's Berchelt. He had a nice little showing versus Sosa, and I think he ended up stopping him in the 4th round, if I'm not mistaken. In a card again that no one will ever remember, because the Canelo fight will just cast such a big shadow over it. But it was a good showing by Berchelt. He did well. He did what he was supposed to do versus a fighter like Sosa. But again, no one paid attention. It's a fight that I went back to watch, not Saturday, because it was too fucking late by the time the zone card was on, not Sunday, but I ended up watching it today on my lunch. So it was in the fight that I was in a hurry to see. It was a good fight. Again, good showing by Berchelt. Let's see what he does after this. Berchelt is a little interesting. I thought he was going to fight Jamel Herring, and you see, what a waste of card. Excuse me. Berchelt just fought this Saturday. This next Saturday coming up, Jamel Herring fights. This is a fight that should have been a unification fight, but for whatever reason, they picked this date and kind of fucked himself over. Again, I hope we see a unification fight instead of him trying to pick on these smaller guys like Oscar Valdez. I mean, Oscar Valdez is a great fighter, but again, Berchelt is just a guy that should arguably be at 140 pounds. He's that much of a big guy. So to ask him to fight or try to fight a guy like Oscar Valdez, I think it's a disservice to himself. When there's a lot of good fighters to fight at 135. Like I said, there's Jamel Herring. And most of them are arguably in his weight class. There's Jamel Herring. There's Vasily Lomachenko. I mean, what about those guys? Instead of waiting for a guy like Valdez, fight the man's on top, man. Come on. But that's what happened this weekend, man. A lot of good fights. If you're a boxing fan, you had a great weekend. Even if you're a UFC fan, again, same thing. If you like both, I don't think anybody watches UFC as a whole listens to me, but well, you guys get what I'm saying. But let's talk about this weekend, because this weekend again goes back to fight season. I'm very excited, especially on the zone from Saitama, Japan, or Saitama, Japan. The World Boxing Super Series finale for these bantamweights continues, and the IBF and the WBA belts are on the line for Inoue versus Nonito Donaire. Now, this is awkward to see Nonito Donaire in such a big fight at this stage of his career versus such a young, up-and-coming monster that Inoue is. I'm very interested. Look, we all know who's going to win. Let's stop there. We know that Inoue is going to eventually stop Nonito. Nonito's a very special guy. Nonito's given us a lot of great fights. But he's a bit past his prime. My question is, not only is he a real good name, but we know what a guy like Nonito can do. What type of caliber of fighter he is. We know, again, he's not the best guy out there, but we know he's a solid name that could give you a fight at any given moment. The question is, when is Inoue going to stop him? Not when is he, if he's going to win or not. When is he going to stop him? Are we going to see a first round knockout? I really hope not. Is he going to make Inoue work? I really hope so. I really want to see what Inoue is really compared. Again, I know there's a lot of you fucking guys that live and die by Inoue. I get it. But I haven't really paid attention. I really want to see what the whole fuss is about. Again, he's a great fighter from what I've seen. He's an amazing fighter, but I really want to see how he does versus a fighter that I know about. Because I see him knocking out all these guys. I don't know who these guys are. I don't know who he's knocking out. I don't know the legitimacy of these fighters, but I want to see him versus a guy like Donaire. At least now we would have a good measuring stick to see, okay, this guy now is the number one pound for pound guy. I'm looking forward to it. I'm fucking excited over it. I'm waking my ass up early in the morning to watch this fight because I really can't wait. The other fight that I'm really excited for is for Jamel Herring versus Lamont Roach. Again, this is a 12-round fight for Jamel's WBO junior lightweight title. I'm very sorry about that. Again, we were just talking about Jamel and Berchel. I thought it was a great fight. This is a fight where you see where promoters can kind of work with each other. And I did mention last week where Golden Boy, I think, is almost always offering their services to the other promoters by matching their guys outside of the box, even though they're going to be on the losing end. I think if it's not Canelo, Golden Boy has almost always lost when they take their horse to the race outside of their network or outside of their them moving the cards. Jamel Herring, look, I'm a sucker for this kid. I think we've been working with him at Adidas for a while. I think he's one of the best human beings out there. So I'm a big fan of him as as his persona. Lamar Roach is a nice kid too. I've seen him come up on Golden Boy stable. But I think I'm gonna go with my man Jamel. I think Jamel ends up stopping this kid and he stops him late. And then, of course, Lamont rides into the sunset and ends up going 135, and then he gets beat up by guys like Ryan Garcia. But, again, we will see. I'm really excited over this fight. And, again, in the card in general, you got a lot of good fights. You got Kiss Me in the Face Pulev. You got Esquivia Falco, and, of course, the local man, the man of the hour, Gabriel Flores Jr., man. Shout out to his pops, man. One of the nicest guys out there. Crazy maniacal dude. But yeah, Gabe Flores continues to impress, continues to look good. And overall, great guy. So it's a good card from Fresno. It's in the stadium. If you guys are out there in Northern California, Central Coast, make sure you guys go out there, support these fighters. These are the type of cards that you want to go to. Now, earlier, and I just did this about maybe 10 minutes before I started the podcast, I said, you know what, let me just see if anybody has questions. It's a big fight. I think it's only fair. I think I did a disservice to myself because I didn't ask for it early enough. So let me go on my Instagram right quick and see what did you guys comment. I know there's the usual trolling again, as I expected. It's only fair. So let's see. First things first, Al Chile asks, talk about people who pretend to be on payrolls. I think this is more of an inside joke. I think there's guys that go to bat for fighters. It's pretty comical when it comes to social media because we know a lot of people have social media personalities, and it's pretty funny. But yeah, there's a lot of people that like the guys, a lot of the kids that like rocking the money team hat. Everybody's part of the money team. There's guys that work with certain entities that just pretend to be a part of the team when they never even met the fighters. Again, that's funny, but yeah, I think, and I think this question came about because I did post on Instagram, people counting Canelo's purse and MMA's purse, saying which entity, I guess you could say, is better. And again, it doesn't matter. These fighters, they're not sharing their money with you. What the fuck is in your business? Just go on about your business. Do you, boo, and don't worry about it. Okay, now Artelum says, you see, I'm just reading. I don't even know what this is. Do you know any restaurants in SoCal owned or associated with boxers? No, I think there was a last round bar and grill. I think Leo Santa Cruz had something to do with it, but I think that quickly closed down. At one point, this Mexican singer named Martin Castillo took over, and it was really good because we actually got to visit it a couple of times, and yeah, it was legit. But then it changed. It started, microwaving and everything. It was kind of gross. But yeah, it is what it is. But no, as far as anything else, I don't know. Turi805, shout out to Turi, man. I wanted to see him a couple of weeks ago. I might be in Oxnard within the next couple of weeks. I need to go. I need to go pay my respect to someone out there. So Turi says things you could do in the 1 hour plus we waited for Canelo Kovalev. Oh man, look, I could have hit a great buffet. I could have done a podcast. I mean, there's so many things I could have got. You know what I should have done, actually, now that I think about it. Thank you, Turi. I could have gone live and talked to folks and just answer questions. I haven't gone live on my Instagram in a while. Like I told you folks a couple of weeks ago, I recently moved. I'm yet to settle really in, to where it's comfortable for me to go live. But I will do that. I should have gone live, and I thank you for that question. I think that's something that we should do. Vilify asked something about talk about global warming. No, have you seen my truck, bro? That thing is not past any emission test. I'm the wrong person to talk about global warming. Boxing Bro says, how would a fight versus Ryan Garcia versus Jorge Linares end? Again, not pretty. I think Ryan really hurts Linares. Linares, I mean, I think Paulie Malignaggi can knock out Linares. So that's that. And I think it says Power Surge 01 says, do you give Canelo more credit for beating Kovalev or Mikey Garcia for beating Lipinets? No, definitely Canelo. Lipinets was a solid fighter, but he's a guy that fought at 140. Big monstrous guy, but I think Kovalev was again, just because of the surroundings. Again, Lipinets, again, it's right up there, but we were expecting Mikey to dominate Lipinets. Canelo, everybody had their doubts because of the size advantage, but because of what Kovalev could do with his jab. So yes, on paper, again, Canelo beating Kovalev is much, much bigger. Remember, if Canelo would have lost to Kovalev, he would have been in the Mikey Garcia window there where, he lost to a bigger guy. He should have lost to a bigger guy. Lano Tururu, man, these guys have the most fucked up names, says, talk about como era culo Ryan Garcia before he took this last fight. Pero puro pedo, guru, no se me agüite. No. Look, man, you guys know this by now. If I'm a troll and if you guys troll me, it's all fair and games. Yes, I said Ryan Saculo, and I made a hashtag Saculo. And because he didn't take that fight at that one time, the StubHub could have, or Dignity Health Center could have had a good fight last September, but it didn't. Ryan Garcia could have easily beaten the shit out of Duno and shut everybody the fuck up that week, but he didn't. He said, he went on a run and did what he did. But look how great the kid is. And there's nothing wrong or bad, I can say, with being wrong in boxing. That means, the kids are beating the odds, and good for Ryan. He deserves it, and I deserve the throwback. So no se agüite, puto el que se agüita. Let's see. Boxing Isaac says, Do you think Katie Taylor fighting in English this weekend plus Estrada Esparza elevated women's boxing? Absolutely. Katie Taylor, we didn't talk about her fight, but yes, this is good for boxing, guys. I think more than anything, not so much the Katie Taylor fight because I don't think lots of folks in stateswide saw it. But again, Estrada versus Esparza did wonders for women's boxing. I mean, I frequent a gym where there's nothing but girls. They're young kids too, you know. And we're talking about teens and even preteens, and these girls are their heroes, man. And this is huge. This is huge, man. To see them on a big stage, that tells them they could be in a big stage one day. And if you guys really know me, you guys know that I've always been a detractor of women's boxing. But seeing stuff like this, you know, it does make you change your mind and look at boxing as a whole, not only as a male-dominated sport, but, you know, where anybody that can fight can compete. So, guys, that's it. A little longer than I usually do it, but again, it doesn't matter. Thank you guys for listening. This has been the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. See you guys next week. All right. Adios.